Hey guys, so I've just read some research on an article in The Guardian that says that millennials are on course to become the richest generation in history. Now, whilst reading that, I thought to myself, this is very interesting. It's inevitable that there is a wealth transfer that's gradually happening, a shift in wealth in the trillions of dollars and pounds from the baby boomers gradually over the next 20 years to the millennials and the Gen Zs and even the Gen Xs. So for today's video, I want to just explore this idea of preparation. What could that actually look like for our generation? What does that mean practically speaking? I want to just introduce you to some ideas that we have been applying in our own lives. I'm going to share 8 different things that you need to do today practically to do what we call parenting your parents respectfully. Okay, the idea here being essentially that a lot of parents are not really adequately prepared for that wealth transfer. And of course, I'm fully aware that not everybody has a living parent, and not everyone has a parent who even has any wealth of any nature to transfer to them. So by making this video anyhow, because I believe it's very important for us to be very proactive and without any guarantees when it comes to inheritance, to in effect do the work for our parents to facilitate that transfer of wealth without giving away your money to or giving away their wealth in taxes and that sort of thing. So if you're really enjoying today's video, really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button just below that in today's video and support us, and also like this video and share it with other people who you think would really enjoy it. Now, this topic of kind of preserving wealth and effectively transferring that wealth to the next generation is one that I think is absolutely critical. I've never really considered inheritance as something that's any part of my current or future wealth. I never really thought about it that way, but I've been doing the work myself with my own family to just make sure that things are done properly, and the ideas we're sharing today will be ones that can help you do the same. Okay, I'm going to read from my notes here just to make sure that I'm not skipping anything that I meant to say in today's video. Okay, now just reading real quick here. I wanted to share a story that really resonated with me, and another reason why I think this is absolutely critical. I met one of my mentors and we went to have a meal, and he was telling me how he went to a funeral of this Asian family, and when he got to the funeral, it felt like a party. People were vibing and it was just a celebration, and he was like, this is a bit weird. At a funeral, everyone's super happy, what's happening? Long story short, basically, these people in their 30s and 40s, their parent had passed away and had left them an inheritance. They'd planned everything properly. Everything had been done really well, to the point where they were actually able to retire early from what they inherited from their parents, hence the party, right? And so the moral of this was, he was saying to me, look, we don't see this in every community. In my community, for example, it's not very common for people to really plan very carefully for stuff like this. A lot of communities actually build their wealth through inheritance, and generationally, a lot of their parents have made it their business to make sure their children inherit adequately, inherit properly, without effectively all their hard work being given away in taxes or being given away to other people. So I thought that story might resonate with you. So here, with that background in mind, here now is some of the things that I think you need to consider very strongly. Now, I should say, as a further disclaimer, and I'll read this from my phone, you will need to do this over a series of meetings with your siblings. Yeah, if you've got siblings, these things I'm going to share, you need to do it with them. But the key to being successful is that one person in your family needs to take responsibility for making these meetings happen. Yeah, and creating an agenda, taking some notes, and communicating any action steps to the rest of the family and following up with them. So in my family, for example, I'm that individual who's taking responsibility for some of these key items and doing it, because not everybody can, and these topics are very sensitive. Now, I've said here, don't expect these meetings to always go exactly to plan, and allow room for some emotional outbursts, because if you're parenting your parents, as we say, respectfully, by that I mean doing the things that your parents know they need to do, But because they're just not in the right space of mind, or, culturally, they're just not in the right place, they're not able to do those things. You're basically taking that role and acting effectively as the parent to make sure that, in a respectful way, these things get done. Like I say here, you need bucket loads of patience with your parents and your siblings, and have the willingness to take action and do the admin. Finally, it goes without saying to remember the confidential nature of these conversations, which might naturally create a trust barrier, but it's super important to make sure that you and the right person in your family initiates these conversations. And remember, if you remember anything from this video, remember you are doing this for your parents, not for you, even though you stand to benefit from this one day. Okay, so with my disclaimers out the way, here they are. Here are the things you need to ask your parents. So please take a note of them, because they're absolutely critical. Question 1 is, what do you own? i.e., and where in the world is it all? So, for example, you need to document these particular things. What asset types your parents have, what asset values they have. So if they've got property, what's the asset type? Where is it in the world? Is it in the UK? Is it anywhere else in the world? What's it worth roughly? If they own any other assets, whether it's any liquid investments, roughly how much is it, and where is it roughly? Okay, someone's doing this work and documenting it. You may even ask for confidentially, some kind of like any account numbers and sort codes, not necessarily login details, but for you to know in the event that anything happened, you're able to start to facilitate that effective orderly transfer which needs to happen. Between families, right? So the first thing is, what do you own? Second thing is what do you owe? And to whom do you owe it? Document, like I've said, as above, when I mentioned, when I talked about what do you own. So write the answers down. Question 3 is, what are your wishes for your assets? I know this is a very, very sensitive topic, but you need to ask your parents this question. Do you have a will? And if so, what are your wishes? If you don't have a will, can we begin to get something sorted out? And if you do have a will, where is it stored? Who are the trustees? That sort of stuff. So that you have, you have some information in the event that anything ever happened. Number 4 question to ask your parents is, do you have some life insurance? Yeah. And if they do say they do have life insurance, ask them, who's the provider of the life insurance? What sort of cover do you have? I know these things are very difficult. What I'm sharing right now is very difficult, but I'm saying it because I'm trying to help somebody out there. Might not be for everybody. I'm trying to help somebody out there take the necessary action for their families. And I know this because I've had to do this for my family. And these are very difficult conversations to have. So what's the policy number for the life insurance, and any other additional information that they might be able to provide to you? Take it and write it down. Question 5. Do you have any other insurance products that we should be aware of? Ask your parents, including any prepaid funeral plans or anything of that nature. If they don't have, you would need to take the necessary action. I mentioned this because, one of the almost unfortunate things I've seen, particularly in the black community in the UK, is but sometimes when people pass away, you end up finding people doing, GoFundMes and that sort of stuff, and there are many reasons for that, and I'm not in any place to bash anything like that. I'm just trying to help us all to be better prepared. One of the biggest tips I got from my mentor, who's about a decade older than me, he said, look, he had a very difficult conversation with his siblings, and they basically started putting money together in a joint bank account. Yeah, and every month they put money into that bank account, and they take turns to make sure that somebody's looking after that account, and that way it gave them a lot of peace of mind. In the event that anything ever happened to their parents, they were adequately prepared to do any burials or anything like that. A typical burial in the UK, if you want to do one, I've done one, I know, will cost you probably around £15,000. If you want to have a proper burial and that sort of thing. So that money needs to come from somewhere. Again, I know this is difficult, but that conversation needs to be had with the relevant people. Question 6 to your parents. Do you have a lasting power of attorney, an LPA, for health and welfare and for property and financial affairs? This means in any event, if your parents are unable to basically discuss their own affairs or make key decisions about their health and welfare as well as their property assets or other assets, you potentially or someone in your family may be able to step in and help to make things happen. Yeah. Question 7. Have you made any form of inheritance tax planning? This is a question. And what should we be aware of? For example, have you gifted any assets? You guys will potentially know about a 7-year rule. We go over this sort of stuff in week 10 of our debut book, Financial Joy, a 10-week plan to help you banish debt, grow your money and unlock financial freedom. I'll link to it below and above for you guys to go over and order that book. It's a 10-week plan for a reason. And in week 10, we're talking about estate planning in depth. And we can see a lot of couples and single people kind of going through that weekly plan together. But the point here about any gifts and that sort of stuff. The reason I referenced week 10 in our book is because we go into a ton of detail around the rules around now. The 7-year rule, for example, if you gifted an asset to somebody, if your parents gifted an asset to you, for example, property or other assets, and they remained alive within 7 years of gifting that asset falls outside their estate for inheritance tax purposes. There's so many other rules, so many other things to cover, and obviously I can't cover it in a very short video like this, but I wanted to just reference some resources for you to head over and check it out. Question 8. This is what you're asking your parents. With the information that we've gathered so far, do I have your permission to contact relevant professionals to offer our family some tailored advice? Okay, I'm sharing this because it's absolutely critical that you take advice on this journey. Don't do any guesswork. We've created a resource for you, our book, as I mentioned earlier. But beyond that, you could seek tailored advice. You could seek other forms of advice to make sure that you are making the necessary decisions at this very critical stage of your lives. Many things are time dependent. I've told you guys many times on our channel that there's always a cost to delay to doing stuff. So if there's certain things you know you need to do, for example, like there's so many things I've mentioned in today's video, please get on with it because it's inevitable that there is a wealth transfer happening between the baby boomers and the other generations, including the millennials, of course, of which Mary and I are a part of. So get your act together, get your butt moving, and start speaking to your parents if you're in that fortunate position to be able to have those conversations. As you know, in the UK and beyond, a lot of our parents' assets are stuck in property assets, in pensions, and other non-financial other accounts like ISAs and so on. So you want to be making sure you're considering very carefully, how should we be dealing with this as a family? What conversations do I need to have with my siblings? But take that responsibility with the list I've shared with you today and begin having that conversation, because believe me, you don't want to be left behind. You don't want to kick yourself in a few years' time and say, you know what, I wish I'd listened to Ken. I wish I'd taken those steps and done those things he said we needed to do. Now I want to wrap up and say that these conversations can be extremely uncomfortable and intrusive. But if you think about it, death and other things that happen when people pass away, which are such a taboo, are pretty much a guarantee and inevitable. So talking about it and preparing for the inevitable wealth transfer that happens will give you a lot more peace for the future and potentially even wealthier one day, when potentially, nothing's guaranteed, you might be that person who maybe inherits from your family members or your parents, and you have that responsibility to then steward that wealth and make sure that the people who come after you are able to adequately and tax efficiently inherit the wealth from you as well. Guys, this is very impromptu. I'm literally doing this as I'm on my way to go and do school pickup, do the school run. But I wanted to just do this because I just think this topic is absolutely important. If you've got any questions, please look in the comments, drop them in the comments below and let us know. But just wanted to wrap up by saying thank you to everybody who's pre-ordered our book, Financial Joy. It's incredible to see the pre-orders coming through. From the bottom of my heart, it means a lot. Mary and I are truly thankful and truly grateful for your support. Help us to become Sunday Times bestsellers. Help to elevate us. Help to elevate our platform. Help to elevate our work. It means the world to us. Please pre-order our book. Head over to Amazon, head over to Waterstones, head over to WH Smith's, head over to Audible, all the various platforms. they have our book. Oh, and I should say we've got an incredible workshop that we've created for you guys specially. The workshop is aimed at helping you to learn to invest your money in the current economic climate, and master your money. Okay, it's a bonus workshop for people who've pre-ordered our book. If you've done so, please send your pre-order receipt to this email address, support@thehumblepenny.com, and we'll send you the details for the workshop. And you need to have pre-ordered by the 28th of March 2024. Just putting it out there just because it's connected to the period when we're launching our book. Okay, I hope that's okay to talk about it, because I'm super proud of the work we've done and the work we're putting out, and I think you are absolutely going to be blown away when you see our book. Thank you again from the bottom of our hearts. And as we wrap up our videos with every single week, and as always, in all things, be thankful and seek joy. All right, take care, people. Bye for now.